Hokie hangover in what is maybe the most anticipated episode of the season, given Virginia Tech's record and opponent this week. We are here to talk about the Old Dominion Monarchs, joined by Mike, and Izzy is filling in for Andrew tonight. Really quick, Counts Family Pharmacy in Blacksburg. Shout out to them if you're in Blacksburg and you need a good place to go for your pharmaceutical needs. That's the place to be. And then Home Field Apparel. Beamer Ball gets you 50% off your first order online. Michael, welcome. How are you? And how much attention did you give this game on your BC pod as far as the preview goes?
It was the third to last game we previewed.
And it took what, like 2.5 minutes?
Ish.
Izzy, welcome. Hopefully we'll be able to get Mike to go for a little bit more than 2.5 tonight.
Yeah, I think that would be good for a substantial podcast.
Yeah. The people are here, even though the vibes are not. Virginia Tech is 0-2. Nobody except for Izzy that I had heard of thought that this game would be worth a damn previewing. ODU, not very good on paper coming into the year. They're 1-1. They played Indiana tough on the road in week 1 and then beat the hell out of North Carolina Central last week. Hard to really tell what's going on with the Monarchs, but usually, and Mike, you obviously are aware of this, usually when we preview these games, it's usually a lot less about ODU and a lot more about Virginia Tech and the issues that they have and whether or not they can be consistent in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if that's the case this week, honestly. There may actually be some value in examining some of these matchups.
Yeah, I took a lot of heat when I said that this could be our trap game this year. And how are we feeling about that now, guys?
No longer a trap game, just another game we can lose. So
yeah, so I would like to just shout out everybody that said I didn't know what I was talking about, because here we are.
To be fair, I thought you were a little crazy as well. Unfortunately, who knew that Tech would give up 34 unanswered in the second half last week?
Ricky, you should know this. You're a married man. The woman's always right. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, because this seems like it was going to be a pretty easy win going into the season. But now I feel like we've said this for the umpteenth time, we are in a must-win scenario going up against these Monarchs.
Virginia Tech has everything to lose here. And
pretty much
nothing to gain. I mean, the only thing you're gaining is a little bit of momentum going into the Wofford game, which you're hoping to gain a little bit more momentum going into NC State. This is really the next 2 weeks in terms of actually, like, I guess from a fan standpoint, you're not going to gain anything out of the next 2 weeks. If you don't blow out Old Dominion and you don't blow out Wofford, and by the way, those are two different programs, Old Dominion much better than Wofford, obviously. But if you don't win those games by a substantial margin, the fans are just going to be more pissed. Like, you lose, the fans are probably a little bit happier, because I think there's going to be some closure to this situation that seems to be kind of dragging on into something that is eventually inevitable with how things are going. If you win this game by not a lot, which I think is certainly on the table, I think you're just going to have a continuously pissed off fan base. And I just don't really think there's anything to gain from this week. Obviously, I think it would be good for Pry and this staff to go out and win this game by a few scores and have it not really be that competitive, much like the Old Dominion game was last year. That would be good. I think they really need that. But at the end of the day, nobody is going to care about this, because the next game of consequence, once you get past Old Dominion, is NC State. And then you're in conference play, and we're really going to see how good or bad this season can get. And by good, I mean, can you claw your way out of an 0-2 hole and still have a decent year? It's been very inconsistent. Game 1, the offense struggled a lot. Game 2, it was a little better in the first half, and obviously the offensive line is pretty banged up. This was a concern we all had going into the year. Banged up still going into this week. Pry didn't sound too particularly keen on the statuses of Brody Meadows and or Montavious Cunningham when he spoke to the media yesterday, so I wouldn't expect them to play a whole lot on Saturday. So we'll see. Old Dominion's got a pretty decent front seven. It's not one ordinarily that I think Virginia Tech would have to worry a lot about. Old Dominion's got decent linebacker play. Jason Henderson, the one that I'm sure 3/4 of the fan base thinks will still be playing in this game, just medically retired. So don't need to worry about him anymore. And his tackling stats that ODU seems to be very, very generous about keeping with their scorekeeper. But yeah, I mean, this is about Virginia Tech trying to establish some momentum to get things going in the right direction the rest of the season. If that's even possible, we'll see.
So I'm going to go in the time machine here for a minute. Back in 2019, Virginia Tech lost the season opener against BC in a game that they should not have lost. For those of you that remember anything about that game, they proceeded to beat Old Dominion 31-17 the next week in a win that absolutely satisfied nobody. And I have a feeling that that's where this may end up again. There were a few games in the Fuente era like this. There was the Old Dominion game, the Furman game, the Rhode Island game, where Tech was consistently facing extremely low-end competition and just could not look like a Power 4 football team, especially up front. It seemed like that's where the main issue was. And Mike, like you mentioned, this offensive line is in shambles. 7 of the 10 are apparently dealing with some sort of nagging injuries. We don't know how many of those are actually out. But
sorry, the comments are phenomenal.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones here. Hokie Law Dog can't fucking wait for this game. I think that's some sarcasm. And thank you, Matt Maciosi. Ryan Willis had a billion turnovers in that BC game. And yeah, Virginia Tech should have won that game. And then they proceeded to flub around against ODU and Furman before getting the doors blown off by Duke just a couple weeks later. So I kind of feel like that's where we're headed for this. And we'll get into a little bit more about the actual matchups of this game. But this screams like, I don't know, just completely unsatisfying W coming up on Saturday.
This was a conversation we were having in my house actually just this week on Monday night. And it was, if we win these 2 games, what difference does it make? You know, like you said, we have everything to lose, but we also have nothing to gain. And if you don't win both of these up to coming games with ODU this week and Wofford next week, then what happens? And that's, I think, the question that everyone's asking. But I don't want to get too far ahead and start thinking about Wofford. You know, we have to think about ODU first. But
gotta go 1-0 this week.
1-0 this week, to quote a couple of coaches that we love around here. But this game, it's just, there's so much heaviness around it, and it doesn't need to be that way. And even if we win, like, what's the point? It's just not going to feel the same.
Yeah, I think Tech would need to dog walk ODU by 40 for anybody to feel anything on Saturday.
Yeah, I would love.
Well, the one thing I was going to say, I feel like the bigger issue here isn't that Virginia Tech's 0-2. It's because of how that second half went last week. Like, if Virginia Tech lost that game last weekend by a field goal, everybody would be pissed still, but it would be different. Like, it wouldn't be like, oh my God, the season's over. This is almost like, wow, this is not entirely hopeless, but it feels that way. And Pry, I get it, right? He goes into press conferences. He's like, oh, we're going to try to take the positives. I do understand that, but there's just a hollowness, right? When you're hyping up the strength and conditioning coach all off season, and then you're talking about how tired everybody is. There's just a hollowness to the message. And it's not that I think Pry doesn't believe what he's saying. I think he does, but to the rest of the fan base, that rings pretty hollow. Like, yeah, the guys did look like they were tired, but then why are we hyping up? And again, nothing against Jared Ferguson. I do think that was a much needed and good hire, and I'm glad he's here, but like, why are we talking all off season about how well conditioned everybody is, and then at the first sign of trouble, we're throwing our new strength and conditioning coach under the bus? And I know I don't know if that was necessarily Pry's intention, but it comes off that way, and it is a bad look when you're talking about how exhausted everybody looks. And yeah, it was a short week, but it wasn't that short. I mean, you played Sunday afternoon, you had one less day to prep, but I don't think that we'd be talking about that, obviously, if the game ended with Virginia Tech losing by a field goal. But since they were shut out 34-0 in the second half and outgained by 300 yards, we had to grasp onto something other than simply just going up to the podium and saying, hey, we didn't have them. We did not have them ready to go in the second half. We didn't execute well in the second half. People be pissed about that too. You can actually respect it. Going up and saying, oh, everybody got tired. It's like, I mean, yeah, man, I guess. But is that why we had -4 yards of offense until the fourth quarter? It's because it was a turnstile at left tackle and we couldn't pick up a blitz. Like that's what the issue was. And then we totally abandoned the run game in the second half, which I get the game was getting away from you. We bailed on the run game. Like there were just several issues, obviously, that made that what it was. And I don't want to rehash all that, but you get to talk about the conditioning and then the comments from Pry since we last recorded about Kyron Drones having a lot of potential. And he's a fifth-year senior who's in his third year as a starter, and he played a little bit at Baylor too. I'm sorry, yeah, 6-year senior even fifth. I think it's fifth.
No. I think he's speaking facetiously.
I was going to realize his full potential.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misread that. That's very funny.
Cookie Law Dog. Kyron is going to realize his full potential as a 6-year senior.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's very good. Sorry, misread that. Very good joke. Yeah, so it's frustrating.
I am glad you brought up the quote about Brent Pry saying that the guys were tired. He was asked if he felt like the effort was there or not in the second half. And he said, I didn't question effort. I did question if the guys were tired. I questioned if I overworked them last week. I didn't think we had the same pop. Holy shit. Like, week 2.
Yeah, it's week 2. Yeah, great point.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm down there on the field with the cameras in tow for this podcast. So being in that perspective, you see things a little bit differently and you hear things a little bit differently. And these guys looked better than they did last year. And if we're still saying this, then that makes me go, how bad was it last year? Like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. If this is a step up, then how bad was it truly last year? And just immediately going to that, I feel like we're pointing the same blame at things over and over again. And this is the cycle that we have been in as Virginia Tech fans over and over again. It's pointing our fingers at the same problems. And I'm not saying it is a problem or it isn't a problem. They looked great coming out with South Carolina. That defensive line in South Carolina, can we have that back, please? But just for now, I'd like to see it get better, obviously. But in the situation right now, I would love to see that. And it's just, we're in the same cycle. It's rinse and repeat every single year.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if they can really flush that second half against Vanderbilt. I don't know if this team has the mental fortitude to be able to do that. I mean, they got completely embarrassed. They were flatlined in the second half. And, players, they read everything on social media. They read the articles. They see the posts on socials. They read the comments. They listen to podcasts. They know that they're getting dragged right now. And I mean, I don't know if it'll be interesting to see if this team has any sort of backbone and if they're able to pick themselves up off the mat, considering everyone has kind of left them for dead at this point.
I thought the second half against Vanderbilt was the first time under Pry they've actually quit.
That's what it felt like.
I've had a lot of complaints about this team, but one thing I haven't complained about is the effort that they've put in and week out. Like, I've complained about a lot of stuff, the coaches not having the guys ready to play, or maybe they do have them ready to play and the guys aren't executing, whatever. It's been a number of different issues, but I have not questioned the effort of the players, and I thought they quit in the second half against Vanderbilt. Specifically, Cedric Alexander had that touchdown run. What was it, early fourth quarter to go up 17, I believe.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's when it was either 14 or 17, whatever it was. But you could feel Tech letting go of the rope, right? And it really starting to like get away from him a bit. And that was the first moment where I looked at this and I was like, yeah, this team is quitting, at least tonight. I'm not saying that they're going to come out on Saturday, not like just have quit in them from the jump against ODU. I mean, if they do, we're going to know early. And that'll say a lot about the mental fortitude piece, Ricky, that you just alluded to. So I don't know. It got away from them. I think everybody was really frustrated. I hope the team plays better on Saturday. I think it's obviously a winnable game. It's one that they could certainly get. But I thought Vanderbilt was a winnable game too, and it was. I mean, they were up. They were up 10, and they weren't perfect in the first half. But I thought the game plan was good. I thought the guys overall were playing pretty well. I thought Drones had some good moments in the run game. I thought he had some decent moments in the passing game too, and I thought the defense played okay. Nobody could have foreseen that come. Not to continue to rehash Vanderbilt, but like nobody could have seen that coming. So, what kind of team comes out this Saturday is a little bit of anybody's guess. And I think what makes me a little nervous too is that you have to wait all day for this game, right? I mean, it's a 7:00 kickoff. It's ACC Network again. You have to wait all day for kickoff. It's going to be an anxious crowd. I think a much more anxious crowd than the one we saw a week ago. And I think that is a little bit concerning. I would have liked to have gotten this out of the way at like noon. Maybe it's just me. I would like to have gotten this out of the way at noon, just so we know. But like waiting around all day to see what this team is going to look like, and then having these fans who have been tailgating all day then go into the stadium and be pissed off walking into lane anyway. And then if this team gets off to a slow start, man, I wouldn't want to be Brent Pry. I would not want to be Brent Pry. So it's just thoughts I have. It's a running list of thoughts in my head.
Yeah, we talked about this ODU front seven, which it seems to be not that bad, and Tech's offensive line issues. Pro Football Focus has ODU credited with 16 quarterback hurries in 2 games. Obviously, one of those games is against North Carolina Central, so take it for what it's worth. But we've seen Kyron struggle when he's under pressure. That's been an issue of his since he got the starting job 2 years ago. It was on full display on Saturday against Vandy. Some of it I do put on the line, and I'm more than willing to be critical of that bunch, but I really do feel like as the 5th-year senior, you've got to be able to call out some of these rushers better. There are way too many guys running free off the line, coming off the edge, and Kyron is immediately under pressure and the ball's not getting out. This is something that's got to change, and this would be a great time to start. Obviously, you're going up against what should be a lesser opponent 2 weeks in a row. Some of these issues should start to be getting ironed out, especially as he spends even more time and gets more reps in this offense.
Yeah, I know we've got a lot of our offensive line out right now, banged up, nicked up. Brody Meadows was in street clothes on the sideline last weekend. But we've got to get through our reads, and we've got to make a decision. And if ODU has the ability to stack the box like Vandy did, then this is just going to be a headache of a game, and we need to be able to call that out and see these guys step up. I think this is more, like you said, Ricky, before, a mental game, and I think it starts with the guys in the trenches. I mean, they are truly the core of this team, and so I really want to see if these young guys can step up coming off of last week, be nicked up, and pull through against what should be a lesser team than us.
I'm worried about a couple different things in this game. I'm worried about Colton Joseph, the quarterback for ODU, as a runner and a passer. He's a dual threat guy. Those quarterbacks have really hurt Virginia Tech in recent years, and obviously we had one that really hurt us a week ago, so that's a concern. Obviously he's not Diego Pavia, but he's good in the running game, so that's a concern I have. I do think Virginia Tech has a chance to win up front defensively. So, I mean, if we're looking for kind of a bright spot in this matchup for the Hokies, it would be the ability to get after the quarterback. Colton Joseph has already thrown 3 interceptions this year through 2 games. He does take some chances through the air. I did not see much of last week's game. I did watch a good bit of the Indiana game a couple weeks ago, and he's got some juice to him, but he'll throw it to the wrong team.
3 picks in that game.
Yeah. So, and
didn't even throw it for 100 yards.
And they were hanging in that game too, which, you don't throw those 3 picks, you feel a little bit better about where you're at, I think, if you're ODU. So that's my biggest concern, is containing him. I think if you do that, you're probably going to be in good shape. If you don't, I think that we're going to be in for a pretty tightly contested game. I kind of think that anyway, just because I don't trust this offense at all right now for Tech. So yeah, there's some things to like. There are things I don't love about this matchup. And really what it comes down to is, if you're a Virginia Tech fan looking at this, it's what version of this team am I going to see? What's the offense going to look like? Is it really going to be as bad as it's looked the first 2 weeks of the year? What version? I mean, this defense has been very Jekyll and Hyde. What version of that do we see? Those are the questions I have. And Ricky, you mentioned at the start, it's like, okay, is this about Tech or is this about Old Dominion? Here. So if you're a Virginia Tech fan, I don't know if there are many of them out there that think this at this point, but if you're a Virginia Tech fan thinking that Old Dominion's going to come to town and this is a game you're going to easily win by 2 or 3 scores, I just don't think that's the case. If that were the case, I think Tech would be favored by 2 scores. I mean, they're not. It's a 7-point spread. I mean, this is, I think, going to be a tightly contested game. I think it's probably a decent sign if Virginia Tech's able to establish a run here and Drones plays a little bit better. It's like, okay, let's see if we can establish some sort of identity offensively, something we can lean on for games of consequence later on as we get into the latter part of September and early October.
Yeah, Colton Joseph has already carried it 22 times this year. He's the leading rusher, both in terms of carries and yards. This is essentially the Colton Joseph offense. And he's 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. So if this defense, if Sam Cephas can't key in on him, then we have a serious issue with this defensive scheme. And I would hope that somebody coming from the NFL and having the experience that he has will be able to draw something up and get guys in position to bottle up a group of 5 quarterback that has shown, like you said, Mike, the propensity to throw to the other team.
Yeah.
Another guy I'm keeping my eye on is the running back, Traquan Jones. He just ripped off a 93-yard touchdown against Carolina Central. And that's another guy. Again, it's which team is going to show up. I don't necessarily trust our defense and especially our secondary, if he breaks through the line, to be able to catch him at this point, if something like that were to occur. And so I really hope that, again, like I said earlier, our South Carolina defensive line, which was one of my big question marks going into the season, shows up on Saturday.
Yeah, they were pretty bad against Vanderbilt. Ben Bell was running himself out of plays, and the linebackers behind him weren't doing much either. This is a good time for them to reassert their dominance a little bit, hopefully. Sadly, I wish I could say I'm confident in that, but I'm not.
I don't have anything else. I'm concerned about this as a Virginia Tech fan. I know Tech fans are kind of hoping that this goes poorly so that there's some clarity with the situation. That's not really how I'm wired, I can't be rooting for my alma mater to lose. Yeah. Can't be openly rooting for my alma mater to lose. It's just not really how I'm wired, but
people are too quick to forget that JMU fans still bring up that game where Tech lost.
Yeah.
ODU fans all still bring up 2018.
Yeah.
Imagine if they were to win in Lane Stadium. You think it's bad now. Just wait.
And one more thing, real quick. Even if you pull the trigger, right, which means you're letting Witt go too, because you're not. It's not going to be one without the other. I don't think it would be shocking. The new AD has to, like, in theory, have some time to go and hire somebody. Now, this is not every situation. I mean, we've seen, Tennessee have a change in athletic director. That was a little bit different because it was not a firing. But you have Danny White leave UCF and go to Tennessee, and then he brought Josh Heupel with him, and that was just like, okay, that's my guy, and he's just coming with me. Okay, that's a little bit different, and it doesn't always work that way. It's worked out. I wasn't sure it was going to work out for Tennessee. It's worked out great for them, right? I mean, Tennessee's hosting Georgia. It's a top 10 match or top 15 matchup this weekend.
Yeah,
Tennessee's really good. They were in the playoff last year. Georgia, but I don't know necessarily that Virginia Tech's in a very good spot in terms of, okay, if you let both of them go right now, your first order of business is probably to hire the athletic director. You'll just go under an interim coach the rest of the year. You'll hire an AD. And then you have to hope that the AD has a list. The AD that you're probably going to bring in is going to have to be somebody who's familiar with football, like very familiar with football, with the football side of the house. It can't be a basketball. Not that I think it would be at Virginia Tech, but it can't be a basketball or an Olympic sports hire.
or
If you did it right now, or a baseball hire, right? It would have to be a football hire, and that football hire would have to have a list in his Rolodex of people that he or she would want to bring in or be interested in interviewing that would fit Virginia Tech. And that's something you're probably not going to figure out until they're here. And I just don't know if the timing, I'm not openly advocating either to like keep going how it's going, but I'm just saying there are some risks to consider making a move right now also. So I don't know. It's kind of a mess.
Mike, you could make the alternate argument, though, that if you're trying to restart this, getting a jump on the athletic director hire before the college football hiring season may be a smarter route to go, because you would have that guy in the building already, guy or girl, I guess, to have that person in the building already, and that person will be able to get started on a football search right after the season, as opposed to making that change after the UVA game or the week before.
Yeah.
I don't think that this happens unless Virginia Tech really just bottoms out, which I'm not going to put off the table. It's certainly a possibility. If Virginia Tech somehow loses this game on Saturday, I think that Sunday may be a very interesting day over in the Merriman Athletic Center. I just don't see it happening yet.
If Tech loses, I think they pull the trigger.
It would be hard not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, it'll be about as ugly as it gets if that happens. Any last words on the Monarchs before we get into these picks?
Nope.
Win the game.
Win
the game.
Yeah, don't lose. Unfortunately, we missed this NC State Wake Forest game, which looks to be an absolute banger.
It's a banger.
Yeah.
Not a good look for the Wolfpack, though. Regardless, this is the most important game on the slate as far as I'm concerned. And I'm, in all seriousness, I'm shocked that we have a spread for it. Syracuse, 1-1, is hosting Colgate. The Raiders. Mike, I'll give you $1 if you know what state Colgate is in. Izzy, I'll give you $1 if you know what state Colgate is in.
I actually don't know. I don't.
I know now because I just looked it up.
It's in the Northeast.
Yes, it is.
It is in New York.
Yes, it is.
That's what I thought.
Syracuse 37.5 at home against Colgate.
There's a spread? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I went to look up the spreads for these games, I didn't think we would get one for this. However, ESPN Bet has 37.5. Andrew's with Colgate. So am I, damn it. Like, I'm down to hate watch Fran Brown. Go ahead. Give me Colgate.
Yeah, I'm not a gambler. I'm not a better, guys. In fact, I had to learn how to do these against the spread picks since joining this podcast. But if you were more than a 3-score favorite, I'm not going for you. So give me Colgate.
Hughes.
God damn it, Mike. You're
Stirring the pot.
trying to do something here with the Colgate Raiders. Next, and actually maybe the most important game of the week, although there's another one that can certainly vie for that title. Clemson, 3.5-point road favorites against the Ramblin' Wreck. Mike, can you tell me what Joey's thoughts on this game are?
Locked up Clemson.
Wow. Okay. He has no faith.
I wouldn't say he has no faith. He's just he's got
Is he
concerns
jaded?
about Georgia Tech's offensive line blocking Clemson, which I think is pretty valid.
Did he watch the Troy game?
He did. He and I are of the opinion that there is a chance that was a little bit of a letdown look ahead spot. Like, you came off a really tough loss to LSU. You're kind of rolling the helmets out against Troy. You got a big game 2 weeks, in 2 weeks. And we think that's kind of what the situation was.
Are you
Potentially.
also taking Clemson?
Yeah. Anything inside a touchdown, I'm all over Clemson.
All right.
But I can see it going sideways, so I'm actually not betting this game. I can see it going sideways. So
Smart. Izzy?
Yeah.
I can definitely see it going sideways, which is why I have Georgia Tech for this one.
there it is. There it is.
I'm more curious as to how many games Haynes King is going to play this year.
I mean, he already missed last week, so
Yeah.
we're batting. He's off the injury report, so he will be out there Saturday. But you're already batting 2 for 3, I guess.
SMU, fresh off the Baylor game, 27.5 road favorites against
Road.
Missouri State.
On the road. Emphasis.
I have Missouri State. Andrew has SMU.
Lay 'em with SMU. Yeah.
Give me Missouri State over here.
Hell yeah. Interesting game here. The brawl, backyard brawl. Pitt, 7.5-point road favorites against West Virginia. Mountaineers coming off a pretty ugly loss against Ohio. Andrew has the Mountaineers. I'm taking Pitt here with the points.
The home team has won every game since the series came back a few years ago. So there's a little fun one. I don't know if West Virginia is going to win, but I do think they're going to cover. And by the way, West Virginia, I do not think is very good, but
They don't
Pitt
look very
hasn't.
good.
Pitt, they have not. Pitt hasn't really played anybody yet, so I think we're going to find out. And backyard brawl, it's in Morgantown. It'll be really loud. It'll be an insane environment.
Dogfight.
Yeah, dogfight. I could see West Virginia uglying it up. I do think Pitt wins, but close.
West Virginia is a pretty special state. I lived there for a little while. I was actually just up there for work today. It's gorgeous. The people will give you the shirt off their back. But I'm going to go with you, Mike. Their football team just hasn't bounced back this year. Give me Pitt.
Yeah, they'll also throw batteries at you. South Florida on the road against Miami. This is, I think, maybe the most intriguing game of the week, and it happens to be on everyone's favorite network, the CW. Give me the Bulls, man. 17.5? Give me the Bulls.
Vegas is trying to tell you something. South Florida's been a fun story. I think they're gonna have a good rest of the season.
Don't derail this for me, Mike.
I do not think they're ready for that. And look, this is a game Miami would love to lose. They do this, right? Miami does this. It's
It's at 4:30, Mike, on a
weird time.
September Saturday in
Yep.
Miami. You think anyone's going to this game?
They should, because Miami's
They don't go to the games, period, let alone an afternoon game.
They should, because I think Miami is capital G good this year.
Will there be more South Florida fans or Miami fans at this game?
Miami for sure, because South Florida's in Tampa.
It's not
How
that
crazy
far.
is that? Yeah, yeah. Learn something new every day. It's West Florida. It's bullshit. So yes, there will be more Miami fans. Barely, because it's people going to Miami games. So I mean, we have to keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm laying them with the Canes. I don't like this matchup for South Florida up front at all. I think they've got some skill position guys that'll try to challenge Miami on the outside a little bit, but Miami's defensive line is serious. I mean, Notre Dame's got a good offensive line. Probably not as good as it was last year, but they have a good offensive line, and they were in hell against Miami a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a different kind of challenge. This is the best, and I know South Florida just played Florida last weekend. This is the best defensive line they've seen this year, maybe on their entire schedule. So, Canes.
Give me the Bulls. I think that Miami's going to overlook this game, even though South Florida has kind of put themselves on the radar a little bit. But I think they're going to pull it through.
Andrew's going with Miami. Give me future Virginia Tech head coach Alex Golesh.
There it is. There it is.
Interesting game here. Duke on the road at Tulane. The Mensa Bowl, I think we can call it that. Tulane's a 1.5 point home favorite. I don't really have an opinion on this one. I'll take Duke with the 1.5.
Give me Duke. I think they're better.
I'm causing all the anarchy tonight. Give me Tulane. This was a
Hell
toss-up,
yeah.
though.
This
was a toss-up.
Let's go.
Andrew predictably picking the Blue Devils. Minnesota on the road at Cal. 2.5 point road favorites. I thought a lot about this one, and give me the Calgorithm.
Bet the under. 42.5. Bet that.
Is that one of your locks this week, Mike?
It's on the card. We'll put it that way. Give me Minnesota. This is the best defense that Cal has faced so far this year with their freshman quarterback, Jaron Kiabe Songapalutele.
No shot. You said that right.
Yeah, close.
This is the golden matchup. Golden Bears, Golden Gophers. Give me Cal.
Keeping it woke around here.
BC there.
BC's a 2 touchdown favorite on the road, 13.5 against Stanford. This is a disgusting pick because, like, Stanford's awful. I don't really buy BC, but I'll guess I'll take the Eagles on this. But if you bet this game, you're full sicko.
I did. I bet the Stanford team total under 14.5. Give me Boston College.
Well, I guess that's fine because you said on principle that you were betting team total unders for Stanford for the remainder of the season.
Yep, we're batting 2 for 2, so we're trying to go 3 for 3. Yeah, the one thing I will note, BC had a double overtime game against Michigan State last Saturday on the road. Very tough loss. Now they got to travel across the country. So I think BC is much better, but there's a path for BC to be like, I don't know, exhausted. But they got to get themselves a new strength and conditioning guy probably. Fine.
Was that an Eagles pick? Are you taking BC?
I am taking BC, yeah.
Okay.
All right, this one I'm agreeing with you guys. I am taking BC as well. I just don't have a lot of faith in Stanford this year.
They're so bad.
Clean sweep for Boston College. All right, everyone's favorite game here, the one that millions and millions will be watching on Saturday. Old Dominion on the road against Virginia Tech. I think this opened as a 7.5 line, Mike, and it's still at 7.5 on ESPN. I have no confidence in this pick. I'm taking Virginia Tech to win and to cover the spread. ODU's offense is a one-man show. I refuse to believe that Sam Seifkis is this bad of a defensive coach. Bounce back game for the Hokies. Their backs are against the wall. ODU doesn't really have much going on the offensive end, other than the quarterback, and on defense, and haven't really seen too much yet. So it's hard to feel one way or the other. Nonetheless, I'll take Virginia Tech to cover the spread here.
I am on Old Dominion. I think Virginia Tech wins this game close. The funny part about this is this would be Brent Pry's second one-score win since becoming Virginia Tech's head coach, and how unsatisfying would that
I
be?
think,
So,
Mike, I think you've picked that like 2 or 3 times in the last several picks that we've had for Tech, and you've always been wrong.
yep. Hoping I'm wrong again. But
I mean, they could always
direction.
lose.
in the right direction. Well, yeah, I was going to say in the right direction.
I think I'm the only one of this squad that's going to be at this game. And
Yes.
as much as I'm looking forward to it, I'm also not looking forward to it. I have Virginia Tech winning this. I don't think they're going to cover the spread. I think it's going to be more of a 3 or 4 point win. Maybe a John Love field goal at the end to kind of seal the deal. You didn't think this was going to be a trap game, and here we are.
You may
So-
as well.
I would rather get my eyes gouged out with like a pencil.
I didn't say I wanted it.
Than John Love kicking a game-winning field goal at home to beat ODU.
At night. At
9-7.
night.
Stuff
I
me
didn't
in a
want that
freaking
either.
locker, man. It sounds awful.
But here we are. But that's what I see this coming down to. I think this game shouldn't be a dogfight, but it's going to be give me Virginia Tech to win, but I don't think they're going to cover.
Who knew that I was the optimistic one here? We are done about what I expected for this preview. We appreciate you guys returning and come back. Final comment. Pokey Law Dog, y'all better go ahead and schedule the emergency pod. We
I'll be
haven't had one
editing
of those.
photos.
We haven't had one of those since Bowen left, right, Mike?
That was the last one. I was going to say since Pry got hired, that would be false. It was since Bowen left.
Yeah, and that pod did do numbers, so
It
we'll see.
did.
But
It did numbers.
yeah, we'll be back to recap this game probably Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. Again, he's going to be on the field getting some photos, so be on the lookout for the gallery there. I am not in attendance this week. I will not be in attendance next week. I have much better things to do with my life. At least for a couple weeks, I'll be back for Wake Forest. Until then, though, until we get this ODU recap, go Hokies.